Hiya. So it's me again, and Reboot or Nexon or Maplestory has just announced that they are extending their channels from 30 to 40. And that can only mean one thing. There is a lot, and I mean a lot of new players, because you can see that those initial regions of the game, Vanishing Journey and Choo Choo, are absolutely packed. And I could not be more excited. So today I have a video for you guys. I'm going to be giving my tips and tricks on just how to boost your damage in the early game and how to progress through it as fast as possible and efficiently so that you can get to the bosses that really are fun and really make this game. So that's it. I'm keeping the intro short. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Remember to like, comment, and sub, or I will literally consume your mesos faster than Star Forcing does. Alrighty, so to get started off, the first tip that I have, and it's fairly straightforward, is to fill your inventory out. But the question is, after this, that supersedes this, is how? How do I fill out my inventory? Usually I notice that a lot of people have their ring slots open, or, they don't have their ring slots filled, so I have one, or actually two good suggestions for this. The first being the NLC quest line. If you do the first 3 quests for this quest line, you can pretty much just get a free ring. So I'll just highlight how it goes. I'll probably, cut the important parts and the unimportant parts in and out. So you kind of just skip through the dialogue, and then it teleports you to NLC. You're going to talk to Icebird Slim and do the NLC questline. Make sure that you're not talking to her and doing Phantom Forest, because that is completely unrelated. I'm going to talk to him, Icebird Slim. And again, just skip through his dialogue. And realistically, this only takes like 10-15 minutes to do, depending on how fast or slow you go. Take your time with it. Yeah, it's mostly just kill quests. Nothing too fancy, and pretty much anybody can do it because the mobs in this kill quest have like really low HP. Like I could probably use my basic attack on this character and take them out. Like they have really low HP. So the first quest out of the 3 is going to be killing Urban Fungus, 200 of them, which is just to the portal over here. It directs you there anyways, or if you have a hyper teleport rock, just teleport over here and then you're here. So then you just need to kill the mobs. So fast forward through this as I kill 200 of these guys. Like look, they have really low HP. I'm killing them with basic attacks. But I digress. We're gonna go fast now. Just cut to the part where I finish in like... Okay, there you go. So 200 of these. And then you go back to Lida. Finish that, and then you're gonna So you're going to accept, obviously continuing with the NLC questline, out the Phantom Forest, out the Featherweights, and then you do that. So now you're gonna be killing 200 urban slimes, I'm pretty sure. Street slime, sorry, oh fancy. Which is to the map over here, just teleport to it. And then take out 200 of these, so... Yet again, these mobs are fairly weak, so I'll just fast forward to when I am done with the quest. Yes? Alright, there you go. So now we've taken out 200 of the street slimes. Go back. Talk to Lita Lawless. Finish the quest. Once again, NLC, just continue. And this time you'll be taking out boomers. Now, one thing to say, be careful when you step on top of these mobs because they will blow up and they will do a lot of damage to you. So just make sure that you're, trying your best to avoid the mobs. Make sure you don't stand near them when they, decide that they want to actually obliterate you, because they do. Okay, they missed. This is a very bad showcase. 9,000, which probably is more if you're a class with low defense, and I only have 33,000 HP. Not only that, my whole inventory is full, so when you're weaker, this will definitely hit you much harder. So just be careful in that regard.
Get ready.
But yeah, you take out 100 boomers. So we'll skip to the part where I finish. Alright, and there you go. That's 100 boomers. Make sure you're safe when you teleport out. And pretty much that's all you need to do to get a free, like, you know, early game ring. After you finish that quest, you just talk to Lita Lawless. And you'll have this coin in your inventory called the NLC Commemorative Coin, and you can spend it over here at a Splendy's or Spindy's coin shop and just buy the ring. Now, the reason why the other equips aren't, you know, necessarily useful or helpful, even though they do have decent stats, is because there are better alternatives. Usually the boss equips that you get from each respective boss is much better than the equips that show up here. Besides the ring, because the ring is not something that you will get from every boss besides Horntail, right? So in terms of filling out your inventory as well, there's also other things you can do, and I'll cover that in just a second. So, as I was going on a quick tangent there for bossing, that's the hint. That's where I'm going to next, bossing. I can't stress this enough. Early game bossing not only gets you the meso you need for early game, it's like over, like, I think 80, 90 mil a day just for doing your daily bosses. It gets you the drops you need for actually being able to do damage. And it gives you potentially cubes and potentially flames and other items that might be useful in the early game. Maybe even potential scrolls, because I know getting potential scrolls or potentials on your equipment is hard for early game players because you don't have potential scrolls handy because of weekly bosses, or, you know, not really, you know, a lot of time has been farmed on the account yet. So, daily bosses. Which ones do I recommend? Zachem. Zachem is absolutely broken. The face and the eye accessory are unbelievably strong for early game players. Magnus, easy, normal, hard, whichever difficulty you can do, the highest is best. From Magnus, you can get a shoulder and the Crystal Ventus badge, which will pretty much be your best in slot until you defeat the Black Mage, because they have removed potable badges. Next, if you can do Hardhilla is an option, because you can get Will-O-the-Wisps, which is slightly better than Chaos Horntail's alternative, which I'll cover in just a bit. Next, you can pretty much skip RA, unless if you need to do them for CRA, then that's totally fine. Von Leon is a skip. Horntail, so I guess we're covering it now. Horntail drops an earring called D-Sidus earrings. I don't have any in my inventory. Unlucky. So basically, I'm pretty sure it has like 1 less attack and 2 less stat than Will-O-the-Wisps. Ideally, you just want to wear the earrings that has the best flame or the green stats, because the stat difference between Will-O-the-Wisps and D-Sidus earrings is so insignificant. So if you happen to pull a good flame on D-Sidus earrings, then wear those. If you happen to pull a good flame here on Will-O-the-Wisps, then equip that. I happen to pull a good flame on Will-O-the-Wisps. As you can tell, I have 5% all stat and 35 luck on my Phantom, which is quite a bit. Right. Horntail also drops the Silver Blossom Ring. This is one of the most infamous items in the game. Very strong for early game because it's a part of the boss set. Its base stats are pretty solid, and it's starable and potable. You can't go wrong with this. And Chaos Horntail also drops the Chaos Horntail Necklace, guaranteed. If you don't have a second pendant, this is a good place to start. You can transfer this up to Solid Gollux, and to Reinforced Gollux, Superior Gollux is a good place to start, you know, for like 10 stars or whatever, right? Next, Pink Bean. Pink Bean, also really solid. Gets you your pocket item. What do I say besides pocket item being free stats and a part of the boss set? Very solid. And it also gives the Golden Clover Belt, which is also a part of the boss set and has boss flames, and is probably the best belt to fodder into superiors. So there's obviously a lot to gain from Pink Bean. Yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of early game equips and where to get them. There's one more thing. There's Gollux. Okay, so I should probably showcase this here. So Gollux if you clear on the normal difficulty, can drop all 4 pieces. And what I mean by that is it can drop a solid Gollux belt, solid Gollux pendant, earrings, and the ring. The most important from all 4 of these is obviously the ring. You want the solid Gollux ring because the solid Gollux ring costs normally 250 coins, but also the solid Gollux ring can be 17 starred and transferred into the reinforced and superior rings, making this a very good item to get if you do normal Gollux every day, if you don't have the power to do hard or Hellux. Which I'm assuming is the case if you're starting out and you're new, because hard and hell Gollux are actually difficult in comparison to normal and easy. Normal has like 2 billion HP. Pretty much any player that hits 200 should be able to do normal Gollux. So I'll showcase that now and how to get into normal Gollux. So make sure that you're grabbing a normal key from the Heart Tree Guardian and make sure that you've started the pre-quest. It's more or less just a bunch of dialogue that you have to skip through. And go in, do not use the Fallen Heart Tree key because that takes you straight to the head, which means that you're doing the Hellux difficulty if you happen to somehow get your hands on this key. Use the normal Fallen Gollux key to enter Gollux. Now what you're going to need to do to enter normal Gollux is to make sure that you're killing 2 of the vital parts. So either 2 shoulders or 1 shoulder, 1 abdomen. So in this case, I will do 1 shoulder, 1 abdomen. So we'll kind of just take out the additional monsters that are in our way. And just so you guys know, this Phantom does not have any of its abilities because I was too lazy to reassign everything. So this Phantom is fairly weak. Just to show how trivial, I guess you could say, Gollux is in the normal difficulty. So notice how I take out the shoulder. Then when you come to the middle, there's this portal over here that you can take to get to the abdomen, or the portal at the top left, which is not showing, to get to one of the shoulders. Once again, I'm going to do the abdomen because I don't like his breath ability, because if he breathes and he hits you, then he heals his entire health bar, which is just a waste of time. But yeah, after you take out 2 of the vital pieces, then you can go to the head. Notice how the shoulder and the abdomen are grayed out, but one of the shoulders is still highlighted. So now you're safe to go in, do your damage, kill the boss. And with quite literally no abilities, I am taking out normal Gollux. Very, very quickly, too. So, yeah, after you get to the heart, it's more of just rolling the thing that you're looking for. So, just pray that you get what you're looking for. In this case, I didn't. So, I'm probably not going to loot anything here besides the potions, because I don't need anything here. But ideally, you want to be getting the rings, because the rings are the most important. The other equipment slots will be filled by other pieces in the boss set. But, yeah. So that's it for equipment. I guess I'll go over some other things that are also fairly important and fairly useful, I would say, in the early game. Alright, so the next tip that I have for all of my new players is don't be scared to level up. Even if you don't one-shot the mobs, leveling up is the best thing you can do to get damage. Because the further you go into the Arcane River, not only do you unlock more node slots, you get your terror burning rewards, but you also get more arcane symbols. And arcane symbols are absolutely huge for the early game because they pretty much double your stat in the early game if you're doing your dailies. Leveling up is very, very important because leveling up also gives you stats, hyper stats, and matrix points. How do I explain matrix points? It's basically free levels for your nodes. So essentially, even if you don't have node stones to actually level up your nodes, just by leveling up, you get matrix points to level up your 5th job skills. And leveling up your 5th job skills is a huge, huge part of your damage. I cannot explain this enough. I can probably showcase this on my main, just to show you guys how big the damage difference is between me having nodes and not having nodes, because it is absolutely crucial to have matrix points and your node stones leveled up. So, for example, let's go to some random map in this region of the game. So, against these mobs, with my node stones on, I have max level nodes on this character, by the way. Ideally, you won't have max nodes in the early game, but this is just to emphasize the difference, right? So in the early game, against these mobs, I'm hitting roughly 900 to 1 billion lines. Now, if I were to unequip these nodes, you can see the damage drops to pretty much half. I'm hitting like 480, 400 mil lines. And this is with the final or fatal strike buff. So let's do that again. Roughly 400 mil, right? So you can see how drastic of a difference it is just by, you know, one simple change, right? So leveling up is good for many reasons, and obviously, you know, node stones is a big part of it. Yeah, that is my second tip on how to get stronger in the early game. Sometimes you just gotta push through the pain, even if you're 3, 4, maybe even 5 shotting the mobs. That's the way to go. It's the hard truth. Actually, wait, I'm not gonna end that point just yet. Hold up. I want to add Arcane Force on top of that. I'm just gonna group it all together. Arcane Force and Node Stones, anything involving your 5th job, very important. So Arcane Force. Why is Arcane Force useful for mobbing or maybe even bossing? Well, for bossing, it's useful because it gives you a lot of stats. Notice this Phantom has 9,000 stat, and 1,600 of that stat is coming from just arcane symbols alone. Like, let's see. If I were to take off my arcane symbols, my range goes from 1.9 mil to... yeah, I lose over 300,000 range. Pretty much. Almost a quarter of my range, maybe even a quarter of my range, just from symbols alone. Not only that, symbols are also important because they help you mob in the early game. Notice how maps in the Arcane River... okay, there's a guy here. I guess I'll... Notice how maps in the Arcane River have Arcane Force requirements. And when you play to your advantage towards these Arcane Force requirements, you do more damage. So notice how in maps like these, because I have a lot of Arcane Force, I do 1.5 times my damage. So it's essentially saying that my... let's see how much damage I do. My 10 mil lines would have been 7 or 6 mil lines if I didn't have the Arcane Force. And with, you know, damage that's that much less, it would be, you know, it would take much longer to kill. Lower kill speed equals lower XP. Lower XP equals less levels. Less levels equals less damage, right? So, yeah. That is where I will actually end the second tip. Yeah. Alright, well, I tried like 30 minutes to try making this happen, but it just didn't want to, so I'm just gonna record it and say just what the next tip is. So, ideally, when you get the red flashing screen or red flashing, you know, prompt on your screen that says warning, the E-bosses, elite bosses, you should be taking the time to fight those. Whether, you know, whether you're alone or somebody comes to help you, those E-bosses are very helpful because the chests that they give at the end give a lot of occult cubes and potentially E-pot scrolls and pot stamps. The reason why this is good is because if you can farm these out, depending on what channels you go to. Like if you go to popular channels, these E-bosses will spawn fairly often, and the higher level you are, the more you can get to them. And if you take the time to do these, you'll have more occult cubes and more space to perfect your potentials in the early game and get, you know, those 6% epic potentials that, you know, most people really don't have in the early game. Or hell, maybe even more, right? Like the top like 9% or, you know, something like this, right? Like you'll just have excess occult cubes to throw just to try to perfect and give yourself more damage, right? But yeah, e-bosses or elite bosses, definitely very, very, very helpful. Yeah, that's another tip. So let's get on to the next one, shall we? And I think I'll leave this for last. So my last tip for upgrading your gear and becoming a lot stronger in the early game is efficiency. So do your research and just see what items are available to you and your upgrade paths as you go along. I feel like a lot of people, especially in the early game, spend too much money on items that they shouldn't be spending on. A lot of the time you'll see people with unique or even legendary potentials on items that they'll only keep for a short while. Especially potential-wise, potentials are, usually for items that you should only be, using for a long time, because as soon as you transfer, you're right back down to epic, and you need to spend all the money to go back up to legendary and getting the potentials that you need again. See, starring is a little different. For example, if I have like a 17-star Arcane, or for example, a 17-star like Pencilier glove, that is fine. The reason why is because I can transfer all the way to Abso and still keep the 15 stars. So when a 5, 10, 15 event comes around, I can get to 17 stars relatively easily. So just make sure that you're spending Meso fairly efficiently. Yet again, like, if you're enhancing items like Royal Black Metal Shoulder, I suggest that you keep it at Epic, just to give you an example, because the Royal Black Shoulder doesn't necessarily transfer into anything, right? Better options for this would be Ravenhorn Chaser Shoulder, if you get it from Empress. If you have Meister, I don't even have skills on this. If you somehow have Meister Shoulder at this stage in the game, that's also a better choice. But ideally, you want to go with Ravenhorn Chaser Shoulder, or the shoulder that you can potentially get from, where is he? I can't see him. Okay, he's over here. The shoulder that you can potentially get from Hardran Maru, and there's no real prequests for this fight. You kind of just go in, hit him for like 3 minutes, and then he just drops his loot. But just make sure that you're planning your, where you're gonna go with your gear, right? Like, this character is slightly inefficient, you can tell, because, I have, for example, a legendary aquatic letter eye accessory, which I'm soon gonna replace with either Sweetwater or items that are just better, right? Same thing with the condensed power crystal. This is probably gonna get replaced with Sweetwater or Twilight when I get there. Just to name a few. This is part of the reason why, let's go back to Gollux. Part of the reason why Gollux is so powerful is because you can build the sets from the ground up. So you can start with the solid set and then just transfer your way up and just transfer your way up. So when you get solid, you can move on to reinforced when you get that, and then up to superior when you get that, at least for the belt and the earrings, because those actually drop. The pendant and the ring, on the other hand, are a different story because of the Gollux coins that you need. But yeah, just take a second to think about what you're doing before you kind of just dump your resources and expect it to get you very far, because I feel like a lot of money gets wasted, and especially when you're traveling into the later regions like Lachlan and Arcana, you need that money to enhance gear that's going to be used for these stages of the game and beyond, right? But yeah, I think that'll be it. Hopefully this video was somewhat helpful. If you guys do like this video, remember to like, comment, and sub, or I will literally consume your mesos faster than Star Forcing does. Thank you.